Iron Man, released in 2008, it has been the groundbreaking movie and the first movie of the MCU in its history. Iron Man is one of the greatest films of the superhero genre, if I may say so myself. The movie is a groundbreaking success and, of course, has led the MCU to become where it is now. Iron Man was released in 2008, features Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Terrence Howard as his best friend, Rhodey, Jeff Bridges as the first villain in the MCU, Obadiah Stane or Ironmonger, and of course, Gwyneth Paltrow as Tony's love interest, Pepper Potts. The movie is about a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, Tony Stark, who creates weapons for a industry called Stark Industries. He is responsible for many deaths around the world and, of course, many weapons. Of course, with weapons comes many great problems. He creates a lot of technology and, of course, is, like I mentioned earlier, a billionaire. He's pretty famous. However, this movie is about him being kidnapped in the beginning and is forced to make rockets for a league of basically terrorists called the Ten Rings, I believe. I believe it's called the Ten Rings, which left many people believing, oh, maybe later we'll see the Mandarin, since the Mandarin is involved with the Ten Rings. So, the film kicks off with that. It immediately introduces Tony Stark riding in a military car, truck, whatever, jeep, and of course gets attacked by the terrorists. He then gets kidnapped and he is brought to a cave where he is saved by a man named... gosh, I forgot his name. I do apologize. But he is saved by a man, and he's saved because he has some shrapnel inside his chest. Therefore, he makes an arc reactor, which prevents the shrapnel from hitting his heart. It also pretty much powers his suit, which he makes later on. So, he is forced by these terrorists to make the missile, which is known as the Jericho missile, which can fire many missiles at once. Tony Stark obviously wants to escape, so him and his friend do create a suit for Tony Stark, which ends up being the Mark 1. Of course, Tony uses this to escape the cave and get out with his life. However, his friend does not make it out alive. Instead, he is stuck inside the cave to die. Tony then makes it back to the United States to basically realize what his duty is now. Tony no longer wants to make any weapons for the United States and no longer wants to sell any weapons. Therefore, he shuts down manufacturing. He shuts down Stark Industries from making weapons, and instead he decides to save the world. But he's still figuring this out within a movie. This angers Obadiah Stane. So Obadiah Stane decides, hey, Tony, come on. He's talking to Tony, telling him, hey, we can't do this. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. Come on, we're like the biggest industry in the world. We make weapons, for crying out loud. That people rely on us. So therefore, little by little, Tony starts to crack down on this situation by trying to find, which he eventually finds out that Obadiah Stane was behind this whole thing. The movie is a thrill, a blockbuster, obviously, what it says on the movie here. It is an action movie, of course. It's a very different superhero movie because you don't really get much of these superhero movies. I know you've seen Batman. I know you can't really compare Marvel and DC, but we've seen Batman do sort of this kind of same thing, except Tony has a bit of a different origin story. So then, Tony creates more suits. He learns how to fly by creating the Mark II Iron Man armor. However, it does not possess too many weapons at this time. So Tony later creates the Mark III, which becomes basically the first Iron Man suit to be able to store many weapons, be able to fly, and be able to basically go into combat. So Tony then goes out and fights these terrorists and stops them from basically taking over the world. So this later does catch the attention of Obadiah Stane. Obadiah Stane goes to the leader of the Ten Rings, the terrorist group, and asks them to give him back the Mark I because earlier in the movie, Tony did crash. he left all the pieces of the Mark 1 behind. Of course, he did have the arc reactor with him. So, basically, Obadiah Stane takes the suit from him, realizes the arc reactor is missing. He kills every one of them by using this stabilizer. I forgot what it was called. It was a machine that he developed to basically lower the heart rate, and it basically shocks the brain. So then Obadiah Stane realizes, well, I need the power of this source. So he goes back. Luckily, Stark Industries does have a giant arc reactor. He tells the scientist, I need you to make it smaller so that we can power weapons. The scientists say we can't do this, and then Obadiah Stane gets mad and says that Tony Stark was able to make this in a cave. Unfortunately, those scientists are not Tony Stark. Obadiah realizes this, goes to Tony Stark's house, and then basically shocks Tony again, just like what he did with the leader of the Ten Rings, and takes the arc reactor out of Tony Stark's chest, which is the Mark II arc reactor. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. He takes the Mark II arc reactor out of Tony's chest, goes back to his supervillain lair, and then powers his own homemade suit called the Ironmonger. So then Tony goes back to his room, finds that Pepper left him a little gift box, which is the first Mark I arc reactor that he had inside the cave. So Tony uses this arc reactor to basically power the Mark III. Pepper goes to Obadiah Stane's warehouse. To his warehouse, along with some other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. By the way, this movie does introduce S.H.I.E.L.D. to us. Rhodey goes back to Tony's house to warn him about what's going on. Tony then suits up, gets out, and goes to save Pepper from Ironmonger. So then it leads to the climactic, basically Iron Man battle in the end with Iron Man and Ironmonger. So then, they come hand to hand, whatever. Ironmonger dies in the end because Tony tells Pepper, power up the giant arc reactor. They find on top of the building. This and that happens. By the way, he wasn't able to solve the icing problem whenever he was flying. That's how come he lost power whenever they were fighting in the air. So then, many things happen. Obadiah Stane dies, and then Tony is left, secretly being Iron Man for a little while. So the whole press is going crazy. They're wondering, who is this Iron Man? What happened? And then what's their excuse? There's going to be a training exercise. So S.H.I.E.L.D., we get introduced to Phil Coulson, which is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He gives Tony a card to read in front of the press, tells him, hey, it's just a training exercise. It's nothing bad. Do not say anything. Just read what's on the card. Finally, Tony goes up there, and we get the greatest ending probably in all of our, MCU movie history. Instead of Tony keeping his identity like most people, like Batman or Spider-Man, no. We have him reveal to the public, to the press, that he is Iron Man, which later spawns the creation of the MCU and its history. So yes, that's basically summarizing up Iron Man right here, 2008. What do I think about this movie? I'm gonna rate, basically what I'm gonna do from now on, I'm gonna rate it from 1 to 10 stars. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna rate it to 1 to 5 stars like they usually do in the movies. How many stars do I give this movie? I give it 4 stars. Because I don't give it 5 stars because it's not the best movie in the MCU history. It's one of the best, and I love it because it pretty much spawns the history that we have now and all the great movies. But this is the first, and it will always be remembered as the first movie ever. Robert Downey Jr. just does such a great job as Tony Stark. I cannot express that enough. Terrence Howard did a great job as Rhodey. I just wish he could have came back. However, I do like Don Cheadle as Rhodey as well. Jeff Bridges makes an amazing villain. He's always been one of my greatest actors of all time. And then, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow does a great job in her first big-time role as Pepper Potts. This movie is great. I recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. I mean, who hasn't seen it? But I remember watching this movie when I was a kid, dude. I remember going to the movie theater and watching this movie. And at that time, I don't think any one of us knew that this movie would become one of the, that it would lead the MCU in the path that it is now. But this movie is great. I recommend it. I give it 4 stars. It's great. What else can I say? There you go. So, anyway, hope you guys like this review of Iron Man 2008. Of course, I will be going in order. If you have any other movies that you want me to review, let me know. Next is going to be The Incredible Hulk, which also released in 2008, which is the second movie in the MCU. And I will be doing all of them leading up all the way to Ant-Man and Wasp, which is the recent MCU film that just came out this year. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Basically, what my plans are to do movie reviews here and there. And then, of course, I'm doing action figure reviews too. Halloween is coming up. October is right around the corner. We're in September right now. Halloween is right around the corner, so I'm going to be doing horror movie reviews over figures. Probably DVDs too if you want me to. I mean, movies. Over NECA figures. So if you want me to do any of that, just let me know. I'm going to be doing horror figure reviews like Freddy Krueger, Jason, the NECA Chucky figure, NECA Halloween figure, stuff like that. And then in November and December, I want to start doing Star Wars figure reviews. I really do, because I have a lot of them, dude. So yeah, there you have it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this very first Rubix Films movie review. I really wanted to start doing movie reviews because I am a huge movie fan. And what better way to do it but than to start off with the first movie in the MCU, Iron Man, right? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a comment if you like it. Drop a like if you like it. I'm not going to force you to subscribe. Subscribe if you want to. So, stay safe. Drink plenty of water. Be healthy. And as always, this has been a Rubix Film. I will catch you guys in the next review. Peace out.